Cowboys Nation, this week brings a different kind of electricity, the kind that settles over a stadium long before kickoff and makes every fan feel like something big is about to unfold. When Kansas City comes to town, even in the middle of a short week with players still recovering from the last round of hits, the atmosphere shifts into something closer to a playoff preview. Dallas steps onto the field in those alternate uniforms that always seem to carry an extra spark. Almost like the team understands that the stakes rise the moment a powerhouse opponent lines up on the other sideline. Kansas City might be missing a couple of important names, but they still bring an offense that can turn a small mistake into a highlight and a quiet drive into a nightmare if the Cowboys do not apply pressure early. It is the type of matchup that forces both coaching staffs to dig into every detail, because games like this are decided by inches, timing, and who wins the hidden battles that never show up in the box score. As the week unfolded, the injury conversation became impossible to ignore. Dallas heads into the matchup knowing they will not have Tyler Gayton available, something that was not officially confirmed at first, but became obvious once the updates kept pointing in the same direction. Losing him changes part of the rotation and forces the coaching staff to look for adjustments, especially with the tempo expected from Kansas City's offense. Then came the situation with Kalen Carson, who initially seemed fine after leaving the previous game due to cramps and dehydration, only to show up limited with a new hamstring issue that immediately raised concern. When you're dealing with a Thursday game, even a small muscle problem can turn into a major question mark. Everyone else who appeared on the list managed at least limited work, which gives Dallas some optimism, especially with players like Osa Odigizua and George Pickens trending upward. A handful of others are working through smaller bumps and bruises, but are projected to suit up without restrictions. On the other side, Kansas City enters without Noah Gray and Trey Smith, both ruled out due to a concussion and a high ankle sprain. Those are not small losses for an offense built around continuity and timing. The rest of their list shifted in a more positive direction, with several players returning to full work and showing they will be good to go. Still, Thursday games have a way of leveling the field. Everyone on both rosters is dealing with soreness, incomplete recovery, or a lingering ache that would normally fade by the weekend. That is the reality of a short turnaround. Execution matters even more because bodies are not at 100%. Once the injury updates settled, attention shifted to the matchups likely to define the night. The first, and maybe most important, centers on the Cowboys' pass rush versus the Kansas City offensive line. There's an old truth in football that does not change regardless of era. No quarterback performs better when he is under heavy pressure. That includes the great ones, even someone as gifted as Patrick Mahomes. He still produces at a high level when the pocket collapses, but his numbers show a clear drop once defenders force him off his spot. With Kansas City's interior banged up and their tackles dealing with recent inconsistencies, Dallas sees an opportunity. Staying aggressive with five-man fronts, mixing alignments, and trusting the defensive line to win one-on-one battles could tilt the game in Dallas's favor. The defensive tackles must disrupt early, and the edge rushers cannot allow Mahomes to roll comfortably into space. Every hit, hurry, and altered throwing platform matters because that is how you turn a dangerous quarterback into one who must constantly improvise. Where Dallas cannot afford hesitation is in the secondary. This is not a week to rely on soft cushions and zone shells that allow Mahomes to pick apart space. Throughout the season, he has been far less efficient against man coverage, completing a noticeably lower percentage of throws and producing fewer explosive plays. When teams challenge him with tight coverage, his yards per attempt drop significantly, and the timing becomes more difficult. That does not mean Dallas should abandon zone entirely, but the defensive identity must revolve around physical, disciplined man coverage. Kansas City still creates problems with pick routes and motion designed to confuse defenders, yet the numbers show that forcing Mahomes to attack coverage straight up, without free windows, makes a real difference. Even Rashee Rice, who has emerged as a reliable target, has performed far better against zone than man. Dallas has the corners to challenge Kansas City, but they must avoid missteps because one wrong angle against that speed becomes a touchdown before you can blink. Another key battle unfolds in the trenches when Dallas's interior offensive line faces Chris Jones. He has been fantastic once again, using his strength and quickness to create instant disruption. Even in a season where the sack total is not as high, his impact remains enormous because he forces quarterbacks to speed up their reads and pushes the pocket with consistent pressure. Dallas needs steady work from Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, and a left guard spot to prevent Jones from taking over drives. If they can neutralize him, even partially, it opens opportunities for longer developing plays and gives Dak Prescott the rhythm he thrives on. The Chiefs' defense loves to blitz, especially in critical moments, and that becomes another storyline worth watching. Steve Spagnuolo has never been shy about sending extra rushers from unexpected angles, and he designs pressure packages that force quarterbacks into quick decisions. This season, Kansas City has not been quite as lethal with their blitzes, but the creativity remains. Prescott has typically handled blitz pressure well throughout his career, using anticipation and accuracy to punish defenders who leave open windows. But every matchup is different, and Kansas City will test protection, timing, and decisiveness snap after snap. Whether Prescott wins those moments depends on communication and his ability to identify where the open space will be before the ball leaves his hand. Everything about this matchup hints at a physical, tactical game where Dallas must set the tone early and sustain it from quarter to quarter. The first down rushing attempts for Dallas will be a major factor because Kansas City has become much stronger in that area in recent weeks. If the Cowboys want balance, they must run with purpose and push the Chiefs from backward. Staying out of predictable third-and-long situations keeps the offense steady and prevents Kansas City from unleashing their full pressure arsenal. Cowboys Nation. As we shift into what truly defines the second half of this showdown, the focus turns to the players who will shape every critical moment. Games like this are rarely won by one grand play or a single explosive highlight. Instead, they are carved out of dozens of small moments, adjustments at the line, a well-timed route, a defensive back reading leverage correctly, a linebacker closing a gap before it becomes a crease. When Dallas faces a team built like Kansas City, every inch matters, and every matchup becomes a miniature battle that can swing momentum. That is why certain names stand out this week. Not just because of talent, but because their particular roles intersect directly with Kansas City's strengths. One of the first names that comes to mind is Donovan Wilson. His physicality and aggressiveness have always been central to the Dallas secondary, but this matchup demands controlled aggression. Patrick Mahomes is not a quarterback who folds when pressured. He thrives off chaos and turns broken plays into daggers. Wilson must walk that fine line between attacking downhill and staying disciplined against misdirection, a manipulation, and those extended scramble drills where Mahomes buys 4 or 5 extra seconds of life. And of course, there is the Travis Kelce factor. Even if Kelce has lost a step from his peak years, he remains one of the smartest and most instinctive tight ends in the league. He finds soft spots in zone coverage like a bloodhound, and when defenders switch to man, he uses leverage and body positioning to create separation. If Wilson becomes the primary defender assigned to him on key downs, he cannot afford a single lapse. Kelce will exploit it instantly. Then there is CeeDee Lamb, who heads into this game with pressure not just from the outside, but from himself. Everyone saw the frustration in recent weeks. Strong numbers overshadowed by drops in the most impactful moments. That is the double-edged sword of becoming a true number one receiver. Expectations rise to a level where even small mistakes feel huge. But Lamb's talent has never been in question. The offense looks completely different when he establishes rhythm early. Dallas knows this, and Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer are fully aware that forcing touches to Lamb is not merely a luxury, but a necessity. Whether by quick hit passes, motion into the slot, crossers, or deeper shots, Lamb needs to be involved from the opening drive. Kansas City's secondary is fast and physical, but they can be beaten with precise route running and strong catch-point focus. This game could be a reminder of why Lamb carries the weight of WR1 expectations. Speaking of receivers, the conversation around George Pickens continues to grow. Whether the coaching staff officially labels him WR1 or not, his presence has completely reshaped the dynamics of this offense. His contested catch ability and physical playing style give Dallas a vertical and boundary threat that pairs perfectly with Lamb's versatility. There will be drives in this game where Pickens becomes the focal point, not because Dallas schemed it that way, but because Kansas City rolls coverage toward Lamb or crowds the middle with disguised looks. Pickens must win those one-on-one battles, especially if Kansas City brings blitz pressure. He may not get 10 targets, but the ones he gets could be game-defining. And then we reach one of the most intriguing figures of the week, Darren Bland. The breakout star from last season returns to another high-stakes moment, this time tasked with navigating Kansas City's wide receiver group, led by Rashee Rice and the explosive rookie Xavier Worthy. Rice is physical, slippery, and especially dangerous when working against zone defenders who fail to close quickly. Worthy, meanwhile, brings that horizontal speed that stresses defenses pre- and post-snap. Bland must stay composed, avoid overcommitting to motion or misdirection, and maintain leverage whether he faces Rice's physical breaks or Worthy's sprint-out acceleration. One wrong angle, one misread on a rub route, and Kansas City turns it into a 30-yard gain. But if Bland stays sharp, he can force Mahomes into tight window throws where Dallas's pass rush can finish the job. On the offensive line, the spotlight falls on Nate Thomas at left tackle. With Kansas City's pass rush heavily dependent on George Karlaftis, Thomas enters a proving ground. Karlaftis has evolved into a high-motor, high-disruption edge rusher who wins with power and relentless pursuit rather than pure finesse. If Thomas holds his ground, Prescott will have the stability he needs to pick apart Kansas City's secondary. But if Karlaftis consistently collapses the edge, the rhythm of the Dallas offense will constantly be disrupted. Kansas City's other edge defenders have not produced at the same level, which places even more responsibility on Thomas to neutralize the one true threat on the outside. Winning that matchup could be one of the hidden keys to Dallas controlling the pace of the night. Of course, linebacker play becomes critical as well. Kansas City's offense forces linebackers into uncomfortable situations more than almost any other team in the league. One moment, they must track Isaiah Pacheco sprinting downhill with violent physicality. The next, they must diagnose play action designed to suck them into the wrong gap. And then come the scramble drills. Mahomes escaping to his right, pointing downfield, receivers breaking off their routes. It becomes backyard football, and linebackers must balance rushing forward to contain Mahomes with dropping back into lanes where receivers suddenly appear. Whether it is Damone Clark, Maris Lafau, or the rotation as a whole, Dallas needs near-perfect discipline. Overcommit too far forward, and Mahomes throws behind you. Stay too deep, and he picks up 12 yards on a run. It is one of the most stressful assignments in football. While big names and matchups take center stage, what makes this game unpredictable is the duel in strategy. Kansas City knows Dallas wants to play man. Dallas knows Kansas City will use motion and picks to challenge that. The Chiefs understand Prescott thrives when recognizing blitz looks. The Cowboys understand Spagnuolo will disguise pressures and rotate coverages late. It becomes a chess match where every successful adjustment forces a counter-adjustment. And in these types of games, the team that adapts faster, not the one with the higher-ranked offense or the bigger names, usually walks away with control. Momentum will swing more than once. Drives will stall. Flags will frustrate. Both quarterbacks will make throws that defy logic, slipping passes into windows that barely exist. Both defenses will produce moments where it looks like they have solved the opponent's game plan, only for everything to flip on the next play. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers have been swirling through the NFL corridors, and now the storm seems to have broken. Sources suggest that Jerry Jones, the ever-controversial owner of the Dallas Cowboys, has officially pulled the trigger on a decision that has been rumored for weeks. Brian Schottenheimer, whose tenure as the team's head coach has been a mix of hope, frustration, and missed opportunities, is reportedly out of the equation. The move, which insiders describe as both sudden and inevitable, has sent shockwaves through the franchise and ignited speculation about the next chapter in Cowboys leadership. Schottenheimer's time at the helm has been closely scrutinized, with fans and analysts debating every play call and offensive scheme. While some appreciated his methodical approach, others argued that the team has struggled to reach its potential under his guidance. Behind closed doors, sources hint that tensions have been simmering for months between the coaching staff and ownership, with Jones reportedly growing increasingly impatient with the direction of the team. Now, with Schottenheimer's departure, the question on everyone's lips is who will step into the spotlight next. The Cowboys' locker room is said to be buzzing with a mix of anxiety and cautious optimism. Players, agents, and even rival executives are speculating on potential replacements, with rumors ranging from seasoned NFL veterans to bold, unconventional choices from outside the league. The atmosphere is electric, a mix of intrigue and uncertainty, as the franchise faces a pivotal moment that could redefine its trajectory for seasons to come. Jerry Jones, never one to shy away from headlines or controversy, appears determined to shake things up. Insiders suggest that his decision wasn't merely about wins and losses, but about reshaping the culture of the team. The ripple effects are already being felt in coaching circles across the league, as every analyst, commentator, and fan theorist begins to speculate. Is this the start of a new era, or just another dramatic twist in the Cowboys' storied history? One thing is clear. Dallas is once again the epicenter of NFL gossip, and all eyes will be on how the organization navigates the uncertain waters ahead. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.